Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Podium Picks. Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez inside the Working Against Gravity studios. On today's episode, back into the pop culture world, Tommy. We actually got this as part of a conversation we were having with our patrons last Friday.
Yeah.
We were talking about movies that make you cry and said, you know what? We're going to do Podium Picks for movies that make us cry. So tear-jerker movies.
Ooh, man. Yeah.
This is a tough one. There's quite a few. I'm sorry to admit that there are quite a few that make me a little misty.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. There's a couple of good ones.
I think you and I will have one in common at least. I know that. Pretty sure about that. But okay, before we get into that, let's talk about Working Against Gravity, because they are your go-to source for not only getting your nutrition dialed in, regardless of kind of what your goals are, but if you want to help other people get their nutrition dialed in, they can help you achieve that as well.
100%. And then they do that through their WAG Certified Nutrition Coach program. So they can help you become an expert in the nutrition science and the art of coaching while gaining the tools needed to create a new life for yourself. It's going to be your business or a passion that you pursue, and every client that you do along the way. Their wait list opens January 13th, 2021. So if you can join the wait list now and get notified when it opens. They just recently had another opening for their wait list back in October. It filled up instantly. So trust me, you want to be a part of that. They'll take you through the very same certification process that they take their coaches that ultimately work with the clients that support WAG through. So you'll be a WAG certified coach and you have the same skills that like the coaches that I work with on a day-to-day basis, and the founder and owner, Adik, has you as well. So definitely want to get on that. Head to workingagainstgravity.com. There's a tab called Become a Coach at the top. And if you just want to get a coach, you can click Get a Coach at the top. You have your choice, Join Lifestyle or Join Performance. We've talked a ton about what that entails, including a customized nutrition program, your very own personal coach, one-on-one check-ins weekly, tons of education hours, research at your fingertips, and a supportive members-only Facebook group. You can only get that at workingagainstgravity.com. You sign up, use the code ELITE50. That's our special deal. They don't do deals anywhere else, and you get $50 off your first month. Once again, it's workingagainstgravity.com. Use the code ELITE50.
Big thanks to Working Against Gravity for being our presenting sponsor here. Really appreciate everything that they do for us, and really appreciate everything they do for the community, because like Tommy was saying, they will help you get your nutrition goals dialed in, whatever they are, and they do a fantastic job with that. Okay, let's get into, we have to do our Spirit of the Games and our Dark Horse before we get into the podium. I think it's my turn to go first.
Turn, yeah.
Okay, so I will start with Spirit of the Games. Now, I'm going to kind of bend the rules here just a little bit, just right off the bat, bending the rules. I couldn't name a specific movie, but this is more of a type of movie that will always, I think, most people will get to most people, and that's why I gave it the Spirit of the Game. So this is any movie in which the dog dies. So any movie where the dog dies, can't do it. And this is the one reason, the only reason, why I haven't seen John Wick, because I know what happens, and I don't know if I can stomach that scene and continue on and enjoy the movie. Although I do know that there is sort of a revenge bit in there, so that might help. But man,
revenge is sought after. Let me tell you that.
That's what I have heard. So there was one time where I was on a plane, and it may have been one of our trips overseas. I can't remember. But the person next to me, you have your little screen, dials up Marley and Me.
Oh.
Now I can't look away from this. This is going on. Someone's calling me right now. This is going on as we, I'm like right there. Like I can't not look at that. And sure enough, it gets to like the end, and I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom.
Dang.
I got to get out of here. So yeah, any movie in which the dog dies is not going to end well for me as far as the waterworks are concerned. Like it's I
just pictured
Old Yeller. You can't do that.
I just pictured you at the leaning over your seatmate's shoulder, watching and just waterworks.
Yeah. I'm like, come on, man, turn that off.
Yeah.
That was rough. So yeah, any movie in which the dog dies gets my Spirit of the Game. So for my Dark Horse, now this is one, I looked at some lists just to maybe get the creative juices flowing here of movies that it's okay to cry at if you're a guy.
Yeah.
This one was not on the list, so this is why it's my dark horse. This one goes, I think it was 1984 this came out. I could be mistaken by a couple years. Starring Robert Redford and Glenn Close. It is The Natural.
Oh.
And sports movie. So the end of it is what gets me. And it's not like tears of sorrow, but it's tears of joy and happiness. And I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but it's one of my favorite endings to a movie of all time. It's a little over the top, but it's the way it all comes together and the events that lead up to it in the final game where the New York Knights, I believe, are playing the Pittsburgh Pirates in either the National League Championship series or a big series. I don't think it was the World Series. And the Roy Hobbs, the main character who Robert Redford plays, has just found out a pretty significant piece of information, and that kind of inspires him to go out and do something. And the way it ends and the music and everything, it's just that's one that's going to get me the tear up, but in a good way. So it's not tears of sorrow; it's definitely tears of happiness. And if you haven't seen The Natural and you're a baseball fan or just a sports fan, check it out. It's a great movie. It's one of those remote dropper movies for me because I haven't watched it enough. And every time I check it, Robert Duvall's in it.
Yeah,
he plays the sports writer. It's got a great cast. Wilford Brimley is in it. It's a solid flick. And the dad from Christmas Story plays one of the bad guys as well.
Yeah,
I don't remember his name, but
yeah.
Great flick. So Spirit of the Games, any movie in which the dog dies, and my dark horse is The Natural.
Oh, the dog died. That's a good all-encompassing one, especially to start, because there's a couple that you're like, oh, there's a couple where the dog lives and you're almost in tears too. Like
exactly.
Homeward Bound, definitely up there. All right, let's see. Did you do Spirit of the Games first or Dark Horse?
I did Spirit of the Games first.
Okay, my Spirit of the Games is My Girl.
Oh.
Yes, a movie starring a young Macaulay Culkin.
I have not seen this.
Yes, young Macaulay Culkin plays Thomas J, and he befriends and eventually falls in love with a girl whose her name in the movie is Veda Sultanfus. I believe.
Rolls off the tongue.
Anna Chlumsky plays. I was trying to remember the actress's name, but there's a scene where you can see them starting to grow together. They're both young, and Macaulay Culkin's kind of like kind of an outcast kid at school, and he has all these allergies. So he's kind of like there's the kid who unfortunately has all the allergies and stuff like that. So he's a little bit more protected, or whatever. And kids back in the day would kind of socially outcast that kid, but as things are starting to blossom for them, they share their first kiss. And she loses at the Veda has this mood ring, and she loses it. And Thomas J returns to find her mood ring, but then is attacked by a swarm of bees and dies from an allergic reaction. And then
Spoiler alert.
And then Vada's dad, who's kind of ignores her and has to deliver the news that Thomas J dies, and that's like when he dies, you're like, oh man. This movie came out in '91, so I think I saw it when I was like, I think I actually saw it, like understood it, and like maybe a few years after that, and you're just like, oh gosh, like you see, like especially as a young kid, you're like, that's like the type of like idealized blossoming love. You're like, oh, like that's great, and then the kid dies, and Macaulay Culkin dies. And he gets an allergic reaction. It's heartbreaking for this young girl. And man, that's one that like I still catches me from time to time. I don't see it very often because it's an old movie, but yeah. Whew.
Dang.
Man, it is definitely up there.
I think Anna Chlumsky was in Veep too. I think she went on to be in Veep, the HBO series Veep. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's true.
Oh, interesting.
So anyway, little bit of trivia.
Let me see. That's actually a good.
Tommy's going to effort the answer to that.
Television. She is in Veep.
Yes, love that show.
Main role. Wow. Well played. All right. My dark horse is from the Disney Pixar movie Inside Out.
Oh yeah, dude, that's a good one.
So this one had a special place for me, as I think it was one of the first, like I guess, mainstream, not for adult type movies that really address the idea of mental health and emotional health for kids and people that was in a more broadly digestible format. So if you're not familiar with it, the whole movie takes place within the mind of an American girl named Riley, and the main focuses of it are these embodied emotions, or her basic emotions, who control her actions. At age 11, maybe my girl and this one, the age is 11. It might be like the magic sad age. She moves to San Francisco for her father's new job. And she's struggling with all these experiences, and it goes on the inside, and you see how the emotions and all the different layers and complexity behind emotions and mental health affect behavior and outcome and things like that. And there's a particular scene when, in the midst of everything else, anger and fear and disgust are left in control, and all this bad stuff's happening. And joy and sadness, they meet this guy, this long-lost childhood imaginary friend named Bing Bong. And
yes.
And at one point, they're trying to escape the memory dump. Joy and Bing Bong are using his old wagon rocket to escape the memory dump, but they're unable to fly high enough due to Bing Bong's weight. And on their final attempt, Bing Bong jumps out to allow Joy to escape and just fades away, forgotten as like the imaginary friend. You're like, that's like, that one just, like, that one's already a very emotionally charged movie. But that scene of like seeing the old childhood imaginary friend, like that piece of childhood innocence, like give himself, like, man, that one got me. I didn't see this one coming. I understood the concept of the movie when we went and saw it, but my mom warned me about it. She's like, be careful, like this one's bring some tissues, and I'm like, oh mom, and then I saw it, and it was just like, oh my god.
That was a really good pick, man, because that was one movie. What I liked about it is that it told people, and as kids especially, a younger audience, it's okay to be sad sometimes, and sometimes you're going to have mixed emotions about things, and that's okay too. Like, it's not black or white. I thought that was, and that part, those parts, they do a good job of giving the adults something to relate to as well. And I thought it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it.
You hit the nail on the head. I think it also made adults look at the emotional well-being and the mental health of children a little bit more seriously, rather than, oh, they're young, they're just like, they'll shake it off. Their kids are flexible and pliable, when there's really a lot more to it. And so that one got me for sure.
Oh, those are good picks. I like that. That Dark Horse pick is a really good one. Like all your other Dark Horse picks. That's okay, let's get into, before we get into our podium, we're going to get into now our podium, our Whoop podium. So this time around, we're going to look at overall sleep performance for the month so far. So we are recording this on October 19th. So people who have been crushing the sleep game so far for the month of October 19th, or month of October up to the 19th.
Yes, these are the top 10 for the month of October so far for overall sleep performance in the month of October for Talking Elite Fitness. Number 1, Nicole Wojciechowski averages 100% across the month.
Wow.
Number 2, Joachim Vorman, 100%. Number 3, Aisha Jawed, our nerd question of the week provider, 100%.
Patron, friend of the show.
Helen Reeks, 100%. Vlad's Tofting, 100%. Nicole Bueller, 100%. Holy cow. Aaron Zilm, 100%. Number 8, Val Champagne, 100%. That's an awesome last name. Val Champagne. That sounds like super cool person. Eric Price, number 9, 100%. And Tori Corey, 100% for the month. Number 11, Amy Feintke is 99%. So all of our top 10 were the only ones maintaining 100% perfect run for sleep throughout the month. Congratulations, guys. That is amazing. I'm at 88%, so I'm nowhere close to that. Impressive.
Yeah, that's some good stuff right there. Wow. Top 10 all in the 100%. So, yeah, you guys head to whoop.com. You can use the code TALKING15 if you want to get on the Whoop train, and you'll save 15% off, and you'll optimize the way that you train and recover. Can't recommend it enough. Okay, now it's time for our podium of Tearjerker movies. So I will start with number 3. We're going to go 3 down to 1. This was close. This was the 2 and 3 were close. 1 was a runaway for me. There was no competition with number 1. So number 3 for me is Avengers Endgame. Because, man, right in the feels just throughout the movie. And then the part at the end, that I hope everyone's seen it by now because I'm a little spoiler alert, where Tony has done his act of heroism, and he's sitting there looking at Pepper, and she says, "It's okay.
Oh,
that's it. I'm done. Like I can't watch that. Especially now as being a dad. Like that's. But there's just so many other moments. Like even the moments when Thor goes back to Asgard with his mom, I thought were really well done. And then Tony with his dad. Like there's stuff there that I'm not going to say got the waterworks going, but definitely some emotional moments in that movie. And then they set you up with the body shots, and then the thing at the end with Tony is just the knockout punch. And like when I first saw that, I was really surprised at how that affected me. I mean, and then just other moments like where you see Cap with the hammer. Like that's not sad. It's just so cool that you're like, oh my God, finally gonna see this on the screen. Oh man. So Avengers Endgame is my third, and like I said, it was really close. Yeah. With number 2.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. That was my third place too. So we could wax on this a little bit more. But I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I saw this movie in Shanghai, China, the day it came out on IMAX, and with Max Ma and Carrie, who run the Asia CrossFit Championships, with a handful of other people as well. And I was so excited for this movie. That Tony scene came out of right field and hit me like a ton of bricks. And there I am, my IMAX glasses. As soon as I put them on, the right arm of the glasses snapped.
Oh, no.
And so my glasses were off kilter. So here I am in Shanghai, China, after a weekend of competition with crooked IMAX glasses, just crying my eyes out because Tony Stark made the hero move. And like you said, they did such a good job setting it up because the tying thing for him that he couldn't let go, right, was Pepper and his kid. He had the quote, get back what we lost, yes, but keep what I found. That's a must. But they had all those other like parental role things woven into it, even with him and Spider-Man at the end, because he was basically the father figure to him. And there's a theory that New Rockstars posed where even at this moment, what allowed him to make that hero move was when they first come back, and him and Spider-Man see each other for the first time, and Peter's like, remember we were in space, and then I got all dusty, and then I woke up, and it's like, oh, it's been 5 years, and he hugged him. There's a theory that that's the moment where Tony realized that he's going to be okay without him gone, and so then he could focus on, like there's all these other protectors in the world. And I think the contrast of moments of the triumph of winning the war, and then losing the guy that started it all, and like the de facto leader. Oh man, and I mean you can unpack that as Avengers started and ended. The Avengers Infinity Saga with the Avengers movies started and ended with Tony making the hero play, something that Cap told him he wouldn't do in the beginning. He said, "You're not the hero type. You're not going to make that play. Make the big sacrifice." And in the first Avengers, Tony carries the nuke up through the portal to the Chitauri warship, and then he's the one that makes the snap and finishes everything off, knowing that he probably can't take the blast damage because it almost killed Hulk too.
You look at that last scene that lasts an hour, and you want to talk about an emotional roller coaster.
Oh.
You're like, oh, it's awesome. No, it's just everything into the whole scene.
If I get onto if I can't pick a movie, I have about an hour and 15 left, I'm like, that's enough for a full movie. I'll go to Avengers Endgame and I'll start at the moment that Thanos sits down on his helmet and starts, and it cuts to Thor watching him, and then because from that moment on, I mean, I'm ready to run. When Thor first double charges and he like turns into the Norse god, I'm ready to run through a wall at that point.
On your left. That's the other.
Oh gosh.
Okay. All right. Now we got to move. So we could go forever on that one. I'm surprised that you had that. I actually thought that was going to be your number one, but that's the one I thought we would both have the same.
It hasn't been I've only had a year,
Exactly.
So I haven't filled up enough glasses with my salty tears to.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's why my next one is number 2.
Okay.
This one came out, I want to say 89 or 88, and one of the actors won an Academy Award for it. It's Glory.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, Carrie Elways is in it, and it is the story of the American Civil War and the Massachusetts 54th Infantry. And they were the first, I think, all-black infantry regiment in the Civil War. And Denzel Washington won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. And there's a scene in there that is very difficult to watch, but it is why he won the Academy Award, just because of that scene. But he was fantastic throughout. But the scene that gets me, it's basically leading up to when they are in South Carolina, they're getting ready to assault that fort. That they know, like, this is basically a suicide mission.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, Matthew Broderick volunteers to lead the charge. And the night before, they're all kind of getting ready, and that's very emotional. That's hard to watch. But the scene that always gets me is when they're walking up to the beach in formation, and all the other Union soldiers are there, and the music's kind of going. And then earlier in the movie, there was a soldier who disparaged, I will say, the Massachusetts 54th right in front of him and used a racial slur to do it. And they show that guy, and he says, "Give him hell, 54th." And then everybody starts cheering, and the music comes up at just the right moment. It's like, oh, man. And then throughout that whole scene, because you know what they're walking into, and you see the heroism that's on display and the brutality of the entire situation, that always gets me. And then the end scene, the very last scene where they're, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there's just... It's tough. It's a hard ending to watch. It's fantastically done. The music is it's one of those movie soundtracks that if you don't have, you should get. And it was one of those movies too that inspired me to want to learn more about that period of our history. But just the way that whole thing comes together at the end is super emotional, and always that line, "Give 'em hell, 54th," and everything that follows after that. Oof. Okay, I'm done. Here come the tears.
Oh, man. Gosh.
Glory is number 2 for me.
That is a movie that I think I've seen twice. And I was like, it is such a those movies you have to go outside and take a few deep breaths before you get into, because you know it's like that emotional ride. Oh,
Yeah.
That's one of them for sure. Ooh, that's a great pick. Yikes. Man, I haven't seen that one in a while.
Yeah.
I think that's probably about time for me and Tiff to go. I don't think she's
good.
seen that one yet.
One of my favorites.
My number 2 is another Pixar movie. It is the movie Up.
Yes. Okay.
It is the first 20 minutes specifically. Oh, gosh. Up is ultimately about the adventure that an old and grumpy man named Carl and his adventure with a young boy named Russell, who's a wilderness explorer, and their kind of wacky, crazy adventure that they have together that ultimately fulfills kind of this prophecy that this dream that him and his wife had. But in the first 20 minutes of the film, you see this young guy named Carl meets Ellie. They're both aspiring explorers who idolize this guy, Charles Muntz, and they eventually become married. They have dreams to go to Paradise Falls, which is where this bird and Muntz supposedly is. And there's this sequence of them that I think it captures. The storytelling is so good because it captures the realities of life, I think, so well. I'm very young into being engaged. I'm only a year, but me and Tiff are starting our lives together, and I just think there's pieces of that I've already seen, and this give and take. So the idea is they're trying to save up for this trip to Paradise Falls, and each time along the way, something more pressing happens, a repair happens, the car breaks down, they have to, and that you see that jar get emptied again, and it's all a setup, right? Because it makes you think that the real adventure that they want is ultimately getting put on the back burner. There's even a point where they reveal that they can't have kids, and it's your heart breaks right there. I remember, I'm pretty sure I watched this with my parents, and all of our family is just crying.
Yeah.
My mom didn't even make it 3 minutes into the movie, and then one by one, it was all of us just a waterfall, and but. Ultimately, he gets the tickets when they're old, but his wife falls ill and dies before they can go, and you're just like, ugh.
Man.
But the big setup is at the end when what is it? Is it Is it a note or is it a photo?
No, I haven't seen, full disclosure, I haven't seen it. But I know what happens.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
Okay, so I'm not going to tell you this last part.
Right.
There's a setup for the end that brings perspective around, and it's phenomenal.
Okay.
And man, you got to watch it.
I know. I've
dude.
heard that I need to watch it. So, okay, I will have to sit down and get the tissue ready because, all right. I don't know if I can handle that one, but
Yeah,
I think for the purpose of research, I will do it. Okay.
Yes.
So now we are at the top of the podium. Now, this is a movie, my number one, that I took a total flyer on. Mm-hmm. Had no idea what I was getting into. Didn't know a whole much about the movie. I can't even remember why I watched it. I think it was one of those things I was like, oh, I've heard this is good. Maybe I'll sit down and check this out to kill an afternoon. I was living by myself at the time in Florida. And
oh, gosh.
so this one came out in 2011, and it's about a sport that I really don't have a ton of interest in. It is the movie Warrior.
Oh,
and it is the MMA movie. It's about, and it seems really, contrived for Hollywood. Basic plot is these two brothers, for different reasons, get involved in this tournament, this MMA tournament, and they wind up on the collision course with each other. One is played by Tom Hardy, and he is a guy who was in the Marines who, for reasons that I will not say to ruin the movie, is no longer in the Marines, and I love his character. His brother is a high school, I think, English teacher or chemistry teacher, and he gets faced with some financial hardships, and he's got to find a way to make some money, so he gets back into fighting. Tom Hardy, meanwhile, goes back to his father, his estranged father, played by Nick Nolte, who I believe was nominated for an Academy Award, didn't win. But he was an abusive father who was an alcoholic, and Tom Hardy says, I just want you to train me, and they have a very strained relationship. So there's two scenes in particular. One is when Tom Hardy's dealing with his dad, who has been sober for a while, but Tom Hardy's character was super insulting to him and really kind of told him off, and he goes back on the bottle. And Tom Hardy's character finds him in the hotel. And that was tough, as someone who's dealt with alcoholism in his family, like that was something that really hit me.
Yeah.
When you see him interact with Nick Nolte in that scene. But the end is what, and I'm not, I cannot watch that scene without crying. It's, if you have a brother and you have ever, competed or fought with him and you still know that you love him, and you watch that scene and the way it all plays out, like there is no way you cannot cry when you watch it.
Oh.
There's no way you can't get emotional. It is so well done. And again, maybe over the top a little bit, but I remember I was showing it to my wife. We were watching. I was like, okay, you just got to be ready for the end. And sure enough, like the end comes on, we're both just, Warrior was one of those movies. And I think that was what was so impactful is I did not expect it to be that good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But that last scene, man, the music and the dialogue and everything that's happening and this poor guy okay. So I'm getting emotional just talking about it. Warrior is my number one. So
that was a great movie. That movie caught me off guard.
Definitely.
Yeah, Tom Hardy was.
He's good in everything,
dude. He is
Love
like
that guy.
I feel like he's an easy target to maybe like kind of poo-poo as an actor because like he's like kind of gruff and he plays a lot of like the action type stuff. But you're like, man, he's got some chops.
No, for sure.
The first scene when he's in the gym and they're giving out cash to anyone who comes fight with that dude, and he.
Yeah, awesome.
He
just tunes them up. I just love how he would go into he goes into the ring, he just dots that guy and just leaves. He just walks out. It was awesome.
You owe me $50 or something. Oh gosh, phenomenal. All right, that's a good one. That's a real good one.
Your number one now.
All right, my number one is also my favorite movie of all time.
Oh,
it is Forrest Gump.
Oh yeah, that almost made my list too.
Oh dude, every single time, and you know what? I have learned to make it through other parts of the movie, but Jenny's grave scene,
oh man,
every single time gets me because the setup for it and the line when he says, "You died on a Saturday morning, and I had you placed here under our tree." Oh my gosh! And then I had the house of your fathers bulldozed to the ground. That just.
Yeah, man.
Like I just lose it, and I have yet to watch this movie with Tiff, and she knows it's going to happen, but. Man, it kills, and that to me, that is the end of No, well, not truly, but that's one of the major points in the Shakespearean tragedy that I think is Forrest Gump, right? He is this guy that, by all accounts, has lived maybe the greatest life ever because of what he's done. He has been an All-American football player for Alabama. Mm-hmm. He's been an Olympic ping pong player. He's been one of the first guys to go to China. He has run across the United States. He's done everything. He's met the president twice. He's a war hero. But everything he truly wants escapes him.
Yeah.
He wants...
Ooh, that's deep.
Yeah. His mom.
Mm-hmm.
It truly wants the long-lasting affection and relationship with his mother. She dies of cancer. His best friend Bubba, the first true best friend, like outside of Jenny,
that's
dies.
A hard scene to watch too.
Oh my gosh, Bubba! And he saves everyone but Bubba. Right. He's the only one that he can't save. Then Jenny was his. You could say is his first friend, but I would say it's his true love the entire time. Multiple times he thinks he has her. It's not that he thinks he has her, but it looks like they're together. Looks like they're together. They finally rediscover each other, and they're finally together for good. And then she dies. Yeah. I believe they said I can't. I've heard conflicting reports of whether it was.
I thought it was AIDS.
Yeah, and also or complications from hepatitis. Either way, like her drug use and all that stuff, and. Man, you're like, but then, the full circle is that he's left with the one lasting reminder of them, and that's their kid.
Man.
Little Forrest, but oh my gosh. Because it cut, the way that line comes in when you died on a Saturday morning comes in, and then they reveal the grave afterwards, you're like, oh my gosh. And that's why it's my favorite movie, because it's like, there's all this, like, there's some deep stuff underneath this.
I just went on a journey right there. That was good.
Oh man, but it gets me every time. And it's tough because I have to watch that movie if it's on, and I'm like,
I know, Yep, I know.
Crushes
I'm the same way with Warrior. I'm like, okay, I got to buckle in for this last scene. All right, well, those are our tearjerker movies. Let us know what yours are. I'm sure there was a lot that didn't make it that I almost put on. Like E.T. was one I almost put on. Forrest Gump was one I almost put on. Those are the two big ones.
There's a couple moments from sports scenes that get me a little bit.
Hoosiers, there's a couple in there.
Yep. Remember the Titans kind of close. Honestly, Friday Night Lights, when
I haven't seen that one.
So, I don't want to spoil it. There's a moment when a character basically has this stark realization that the one thing they put their bet on isn't going to pay off, and it's heartbreaking, and there's an internal conflict because of that person's personality. Yeah, but man, it got me too.
I was going to go with Rocky 2 and or 3.
Oh yeah. Oh,
so.
Oh, man.
Yeah, those are a couple that almost made it, but I would love to. I really love hearing or reading the comments when people put theirs in there because I always go, oh man.
People are going to get mad about like the Notebook and all that stuff. That one's tough too. Yeah, but
Notebook. I mean.
That's designed to make you cry.
Yeah, beaches, terms of endearment. Yeah, it's not. Okay. All right, well, that's going to do it for us for today. Thank you so much for checking this episode out. Want to thank Working Against Gravity and Whoop. Be sure you check them out as well. For Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland. Be better, take care of each other, and we'll talk to you guys next time.